notes. More ready. Thank you. All right, good morning. I call to order this Carrabelle City Commission budget workshop for the Water and Sewer and General Fund 2023-2024 budgets. It's Tuesday, September the 5th, 10 a.m. We're in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers. This is a workshop, so we won't have the invocation or pledge allegiance to the flag. Ms. Keisha, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Walden.
Here.
Commissioner Brown. Here. Mayor LaPaz.
Here.
Commissioner Millender.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Okay, the order of today's workshop, of course, no action will be taken during this workshop because it's a workshop. The process will be that the commission will work to agree in principle regarding the draft budgets for tentative adoption at the first budget hearing on September the 14th, 2023 at 5:15 p.m. And then we'll have the second budget hearing on September the 25th, 2023 at 5:01, and that is where final action will be taken. Today we'll review the draft 2023-2024 budget proposal for the water and sewer budget, and we can offer recommendations for revision to the draft, and then we'll review the draft 2023-2024 budget proposal for the general fund budget and offer recommendations for revisions if we want to. And so if we don't come to an agreement, we may meet again after lunchtime. So we'll see how that goes. So Ms. Keisha, on the water and sewer budget, would you go ahead and present that?
Okay, so I'll start by going over the lines there. We've got our budget from last year, our year-to-date revenues, which is through the end of June. And then we take those numbers and project them out to what they would be by the end of the year. And we use those numbers to budget with. Just kind of, I know it's Bill's first. So, and then, so we kind of look at those three lines to go through. So we got $1 million in water sales, which is down a little bit from last year. $70,000 for tap fees. Disconnects and reconnects, $1,500. Late fees, $10,000, and $70,000 for interest, which is way up, but the interest rates are really high. So, bringing us to a total of $1,151,500 for water revenues. So, any questions there?
Is this number for interest correct? The actual was 5,000 and now it's 70,000?
We've got in 55,000 as of June, and then we're projecting it out at 73. And so when we budget, we won't know the exact. We just have to go based on, you know, what the previous years were.
I'll interject. I think that 5,000, I know that 5,000 was what we budgeted last year at this time.
Right.
And we didn't realize interest rates were going to go up like
That
they
high.
did.
So yeah, the 5,000 is correct
Okay, I
from
just
last
wanted to
year.
confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we'll have to, you know, be careful. We've talked about it amongst ourselves with staff and become dependent on this high interest rate.
Right.
Because we may not have that.
We may look at it again in 6 months, and we can reallocate if that number looks like it's lower.
Gotcha.
Or same with water sales too. We don't have any ideas for Lighthouse. It's not included in here. The water sales for Lighthouse, the taps for Lighthouse, the expenses for Lighthouse extension. We just don't have accurate data to be able to project that out. So this particular budget we will need to look at in about 6 months. All right. Any more? So we're moving down to salaries. We've included the $1 a year that we've been doing to catch up. So $370,000 there. FICA, $29,000, that number's based off of the previous. So it's the retirement, 55. We budgeted everybody a little bit higher on retirement, that's set by the state. And their physical budget year is July 1st. So it always seems to go up mid-year and we kind of get stuck behind, so we wanted to try to be ahead of that. Life and health, $130,000. Accounting and audit, 16.5. We've added an additional 10% pretty much to each of those because I felt like everything else is going up. Training, we've got 1,500. Travel, 3,500. Communications, 4,000. And y'all can stop me if there's anything that stands out. Postage, 6,000. Utilities, 50,000. We accounted for a little bit more because it's going up as well. Workman's comp, we've got 15,000. It's still quite too early for us to have accurate numbers on that. We do know that everything's going up a little bit. So that's just our best guesstimate. That could come in a little bit lower. Same with liability, 17,000. And then property insurance, we have been warned that it's going to go up about 50%.
I'm crazy.
So,
Everyone I'm talking to.
so we've added additional 50% to all our property, and Charlie's got one of the biggest property insurance that we have. So
He's got a lot of buildings.
he's got a lot of buildings and a lot of property.
Infrastructure.
So we've also switched this year to a blanket policy, or umbrella policy they call it, because we were doing inventory, but if we miss a building or miss something, lift station that's not on there, then it's not covered. So we just went to an umbrella policy that covers anything the city has. So I think we'll be better protected that way.
Was that a little bit higher though?
It was a little bit higher, but we were getting raised anyway, so,
Yeah.
it was a good year to go ahead and bite the bullet and, get it over with.
And we did look too, when we looked at insurance, because some of these had really low deductibles, like $500 deductibles. And so we did go back and ask the insurance company if it could raise the deductibles, if that would lower our premiums, and it did not.
No, just,
But, oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, we do self-insure a lot, just because we get a little $500 worth of damage, we don't go run claim it on insurance. So if it's not beneficial to the city, then we'll self-insure.
Mr. Miller?
I'm just gonna give an example of a homeowner, because I was so disappointed in, well, I was heartbroken. My homeowner's insurance, I had to shop around to find it because the carrier had canceled because of the storms last year in Florida. But as an example, my homeowner's insurance went from $1,600 to $5,000. And the deductible went from $2,000 to $15,000. If I kept the same deductible, $2,000 deductible, my homeowner's insurance would have been almost $11,000 a year. And that wasn't one company, I was shopping around. I had one insurance company that quoted $18,000 something.
And all of our
That's
insurance is through the Florida League of Cities. We have had a company reach out saying that, oh, we can guarantee you lower prices, and they say that every year, and then the very next year they go up. But we have a good relationship with Florida League of Cities. It's not just our property, it's workman's comp, that we can pick up the phone and call them. They are a really good company, and most cities in Florida use them, so.
I talked to a lot of folks that's local that do not have mortgages, that's decided not to be insured because of the cost of insurance.
Self-insured, but a lot of people in Cedar Key were talking about the
Yeah,
same thing. They didn't have insurance on that mobile house.
Yeah.
They just got wiped out.
Well, if you had to pay $15,000.
Right.
Exactly.
You might as well.
If I'd have had to pay 15 or 18, that one quote I had, I wouldn't have had insurance.
Yeah. We had to get a home inspection to get mine lowered a little bit.
I had to
It
get
went
a
up with
home
everybody.
inspection. Yes, sir. Actually, I had to get 2 home inspections. The one that I paid for that they required, they wasn't satisfied with that, so because when I took the policy out, they sent their own inspector do the same thing, but they required me to pay for one before they would even consider it.
I had to pay for mine.
Yeah. Sorry, Mayor.
Yep.
No, it's
Just stop.
worrisome.
I had to have one on a brand new home that was just finished, and I had to buy one for my house too.
It's worrisome for every household and business in the city and the county and the state.
Yeah, because those folks that have mortgages they don't have a choice.
Right. Or you don't have a house.
Right.
And the Florida League of Cities has been good to us over all the years. I would speak up for them as well. They cover everything, everything. Not just insurance.
Lightning strikes, lawsuits, everything, and
Right.
they're just one-stop shop.
Okay, so your automobile insurance, you've got that up as well, I see.
13,000, that's a guesstimate, like I said, we haven't got the actual breakdown, so, that, it might go down a little bit, but we do have additional vehicles that we'll be adding, so, we wanted to account for that. Maintenance and repair equipment, 50,000, went down a little bit just based on the numbers last year. Vehicles, 6,500, we've added additional vehicles. Buildings, 4,000, a lot of that too would be if we needed to self-insure, so we went up a little bit there. Advertising, 2,000. Other charges, 6,000. It's got, I didn't bring my paperwork, it's got some extra stuff in there, but that's since been moved out. A lot of times Miranda, if she's not quite sure where it goes in the budget, she sticks it there and then it pops out when we correct it.
That's why it's got the 12,000 year-to-date, 12,600.
Quick question. Charlotte, why did you go down on your vehicle maintenance cost?
New vehicles,
I figured that as much.
it's just new vehicles. We just don't, tires, batteries, brakes, all that stuff. Or many other things, air conditioning doesn't work, get into deeper and deeper stuff, the older vehicles, they just keep having more problems. So, yeah, we were able to move all those off the road and, just new vehicles and better gas mileage.
Fair enough.
And we didn't go down, we actually went up $1,500.
Oh, I understood you to say that you had dropped it.
No, not the, maintenance and repair, the maintenance and repair equipment,
Yeah.
we dropped,
Yeah,
not the
we got all
vehicles.
that too.
Well, that's basically the one I was asking about, the one you reduced. Is because the cost of everything is costing more. As an example, I do understand when you have new vehicles, there's usually less breakdown.
Right.
The cost of repairing these new vehicles is much higher than it is to repair an old one. So, anyway, we're good. Whatever you think.
Copy machine lease, that's preset, 1,500 for office supplies, supplies and materials, 97,400, we brought it down just a little bit. Chemicals, 115,000, that's to treat the water plants. Gasoline, 17,000, it looked like it come in low, but we didn't wanna take any chances there because like everything else. Diesel, 6,000, we did go up on that one, running generators and stuff. The miscellaneous water shouldn't be in there, it got moved to other, places in the budget, and so when we go to our actual budget meeting, you won't have this, it won't have all that extra stuff. Capital projects, we've got at $100,000.
Can I interject here?
Mhm.
Tony, back to your question about materials and maintenance back, so where we saved some money. Along the way, this is where the facilities run better as we invest money in them, just like the vehicles. As I've been investing money in the new pumps and new controls and better systems to operate, we have been able to save money along the way on repairs and emergencies. That's probably the big one. So as we have this capital outlay for capital projects, I keep investing in the system and upgrading it.
Thank you, Charlie. That's a positive thing. I agree with you. I just, my
Yeah.
question is not to question you, it's just to kind of discuss if you gonna, don't cut yourself short, so to speak.
No, I don't think we shorted really the budget, we just kinda like, it's just kinda sliding along, more or less.
But innovation and improvement, that's
Yeah,
a good thing.
the capital projects, yeah, keeping stuff new. Sorry.
Thank you.
No, go ahead. And capital projects, that 100,000, he has a list, and I don't think I have it.
I don't, either, I was out mowing the lawn, to be honest with you.
But I can get it for you if anybody has questions there.
Or just have it for the tentative.
For the tentative.
Right.
Safety, 500. Uniforms, 9,000. Consultant fees, 10,000. We kept that in there, that you just never know with that one. Lab tests, 6,000. Permits and fines, 2,000. Utility service, 75,000. That's our water tank maintenance. They come and clean them and pressure wash them, sandblast them. That we're on a yearly schedule there with them. And then our loan payment, 90,000. And we don't quite know the loan payment for the lighthouse yet. We don't know what that's gonna be.
But this one has increased, it had been the 60,000 for quite some time, but now the 90 includes the design.
That we've already paid,
Yes,
yes.
the engineering for the water expansion, design and engineering for that.
Bringing us to 1,350,000, even for water expenditures. Water and sewer, sometimes water carries, sometimes sewer carries, so the expenditure's a little higher than, our revenues, but that's where sewer will come in, because they're the same entity. Sewer service charges, moving on, $1,100,000, $100,000. Tap fees, $90,000. Again, down low, we didn't include anything projected for Lighthouse. We do anticipate that's gonna be higher, but, we didn't include it yet. Late fees, $7,500, interest, $5,500. That's just the sinking fund. That's not, because all the other interest went into the water. So that's just the sinking fund account there. Total revenues, 1,203,000. Sewer salaries, 130,000. FICA, 10,000. Retirement, 23,000. Life and health, 60,500. Accounting and audit, 16,500. Training, 2,000. Travel, 2,000. Communications, 6,000. Postage, 6,000. Utilities, 140,000. The sewer plant obviously is a big monster, so that's,
Well, and all the lift stations and vacuum stations, it's a big bill, it's come up a lot. Well, maybe 10,000.
Workman's comp, 9,000. Liability, 10,000. There again, everything's going up, so we wanted to account for that. 60,000 for property, we doubled it. Automobile, 1,000. That's insurance too.
Skip the
No,
125,000 for the.
no, I just,
You just
I
get to
just
it.
get into it, yeah. Maintenance and repair equipment, 125,000, and that's back to what Charlie was speaking about, everything's running a little bit better, so. Maintenance repair of vehicles, 1,000, we only have one vehicle in that department, so that's why it's low. Buildings, 5,000, maintenance repair buildings, 5,000. Other charges, 5,000. Office supplies, 1,000. Materials and supplies, 30,000. Chemicals, 45,000. gasoline 2,500, diesel 7,000, capital projects sewer 50,000. It looks like we didn't use a whole lot, but some of that's still coming in, so.
The 150,000, we ordered a bar screen for 150,000 to be in the center.
So it's not
gonna be like-
reflected
Yeah.
in year to date. Safety 500, uniforms 2,000, consultant fees 12,000, lab tests 30,000, permits and fines, we didn't have anything. It kinda usually gets covered in the water. And then our big sewer loan payment, 212,500, brings us to total expenditures of $1,004,500.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
For the salaries, why didn't that go up
On the water, on the sewer,
on the sewer?
because we had extra in there
Okay.
last year,
Mhm.
and so we just left it there.
Okay.
The, projected, and that's including overtime too, that we didn't necessarily use all of it, so we felt comfortable leaving it. There's
Okay.
only one employee in that department, plus then the halves of everybody's that gets split out, so. That balances us out to projected water and sewer combined at $2,282,624.24. The expenditures, $1,880,274, leaving us $402,350 to carry forward. We have a renewal and replacement account that we've been running at $400,000 for 15 years. We're trying to get that built back up. We want it to be 800,000. 400,000 is not gonna be enough these days. We need to be able to run our budget. If disaster struck, we didn't get any water sales or anything, we need to get that bump back up. So we felt like this would be the year to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you all 400,000?
Well, I mean, that's just where we put it, so.
Okay, that's fine, but
Yeah.
it's, don't forget, I have a couple projects, already in the books, we gotta account for it, to eat some of that up.
That'll eat some of the renewal and replacement money up, and then this will be replacing it.
Oh, okay, that's fine, I don't care. That's fine.
So we won't be up to 800,000 is what he's
No.
saying by the time, if we put this 400,
Right.
it won't be up to the 800, but we'll be slowly getting closer.
Also, we haven't done any rate studies, we haven't had a rate increase in
Yeah.
a number of years, and it's time for us to get a rate increase. I think that everything's going up in inflation, everything, you can see in here, everything's going up, but our rates aren't going up to support it, so normally we have a lot more extra money in water and sewer, and you'll see where we went down to like $50,000 in capital projects. We just didn't have the money to put any additional, so we do need to get that rate study and see what
Right.
sure we need a rate increase.
Our
I,
last rate increase was 2017, I believe.
2017?
A long time ago. and,
We went
it
for
might-
3 years, 14, 15, 16.
17.
It might have been even before that, we should look, but we did tear it up.
We tiered it, yeah.
We had a rate study done, and then, they told us what we needed to raise it, and we did like $1 a month or something, or
we did
50
3
cents a month.
years.
Yeah, for 3 years, we tiered it up until we could get it to the, Keisha, scroll down there, where you've got the 402 carry forward.
Uh-huh.
I think that's, if you'll click on that line, no, I don't know what line you have, but the total projected water and sewer revenues, and that's, see, that says 21, 22. I think that's picking up on.
Oh, I see, yes.
But then down at the bottom, the next grouping, total projected water and sewer revenues 23-24. I think we've got
Oh,
it
okay,
balancing
that was
out.
last year.
Uh-huh. The next
Okay.
one is this year, and there's
So
no.
we didn't have a surplus this
Mhm.
year.
We had to go back and find money.
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
we did, okay, that four
I
hundred
don't know
two
if they have that
did get
printed out.
dumped into the renewal and replacement.
Yeah, this is all incorrect right here. That all
It's
this
just from
shouldn't
last
be
year, that's
showing.
showing last year's, okay.
So, but what I was gonna say, some of these were maybe like, on your property insurance, we went ahead, they advised 50%, so we did 50%, but if we have extra, if it seems like there's extra, then that should go into the contingency that Keisha is talking about, because we do need to, I mean, that's just my opinion and advice.
Yes,
Because costs are going up, and if something happens, we want to be able to take care of it.
right, so we did put that 402 last year, so we were up to what, 560? Do you have that, 560,000?
I don't have that on this report. I'm using the one that you sent out. I probably have it on another.
And I'll have that too, I'll have that for, our tentative.
We should
But-
have all of our
So this
insurance
right
on
here,
it.
this doesn't.
We should have the
show.
insurance.
Right here, it's this one here.
Yeah, that needed to be deleted out, I'm sorry.
You're gonna,
But that 400,000 will be used if we need extra money in here, because it did go into renewal and replacement.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what I was just settling in my mind, if that's the fact, then we're still ahead of the game, so that's good.
And then we won't know the exact number until we do our final amended budget in November.
Mhm.
So we'll know the exact amount that,
For last year.
for last year.
This fiscal year
And
that we're
then
in.
about 6 months in, we'll need to look at this one because
There's a lot of changes.
there might, yes. Well, we'll have the property numbers and stuff by the tentative, but just Lighthouse, and I know there's a lot of people still wanting to connect even after the grants is building up out there, so.
Well, it sounds to me like that the rate study's gonna be of importance here very soon.
Yes.
So-
I think I can get it close to the first of the year is my goal. I've talked to Florida Rural Water, and we've got a lot of our information. My stumbling point right now is we're getting ready to change our management system for the front desk, all of our billing. And I need to get through that so I can free up Miranda to do the rate study. Without Miranda, we don't get the rate study done. So, and she's busy with her stuff, and I've added on, bringing this new system online in October. Might push over to November, but once we get that done, we can move on with the rate study. I think we'll have, we're about halfway there already.
Miranda has to provide all the numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. For the rate study. And, our.
And I believe she's provided them to them before, and then they
She
come back.
has,
and
and-
I mean, it's
and-
very tedious, it's not fun.
Our ordinance says that we were supposed to raise rates years ago, I think. The actual ordinance that we have with the DEP.
With DP.
And
And we did
and-
raise our,
tap fees.
tap fees last year or the year before.
I think it was the year before, but we haven't needed to raise,
Right.
even though the ordinance says it. This is just, it's just a hard thing to do. But if you can do it, everybody took it very well when we did it in a tiered rate, instead of going ahead and saying we gotta raise your rates $5 a month or $6, whatever it comes out to be, but, it wasn't bad, doing it tiered annually.
And they'll look at that, so basically a rate study looks at your base rates, covers your loan payments and those expenses, and then your, per 1,000 gallon covers your operation and maintenance, so it has to be in line, so we may have to raise, just the, per 1,000 gallons and maybe not the, base rate, but it's a lengthy process, it's not easy.
And the water management district requires us to have the tiered rates that we have on the actual gallons that we use. The more gallons you use, it goes up every 3,000 gallons, the rate goes up.
And we used to have a base rate for the first 3,000 gallons, and they made us change that, and that really is what everybody got upset about, so we're past that. We done with Charlie? Everybody?
Oh, well, do you have any more comments, Charlie?
No, I'm good.
Do y'all have comments at this time?
I'm good.
Okay.
At the, in a couple of weeks, we should have, like I said, more hardcore numbers to look at, well, 1 week. She should have that all broken down. Moving on, do y'all want a copy of the?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you, Charlie, thank you. Thank you.
Right then.
Moving on. The beast. All right, so this year we have proposed leaving our millage rate at the 7.250.
Okay, just for the record, I'm just gonna say that we're beginning to work now on our general fund budget worksheet presented by the staff. Now, just for the record. All right, go ahead, Ms. Keisha.
So we did have an increase in property values this year. Wasn't a huge increase, but we proposed just to keep it the same this year so far. That's just, when we get the worksheet and have to turn it in, it's always in between meetings, so I have to just do my best guess, and I always like to stay up. We can always roll back if we need to, so. I'm proposing the millage rate at 7.25, $1,150,000. That's being conservative, and these tables are the same as the water and sewer. So you got this year and then year to date, and then the guest proposed. Hold on, I gotta open this back up because I had it closed. So if you want, if you look at last year, $1,092,000 was the 7.25. We only brought in $1,076,000. We don't get any more than the projected year end. That's not accurate because we're done getting property taxes for now. Franchise fee, just like with the cost of electricity going up, the cost of what they have to turn around and give us back is going up as well. Utility service tax, same way, they went up. And you can see the projections there. Occupational license, we're down this year to 5,000. Hopefully that'll start picking up as well. State right-of-way maintenance, 7,500. That's a yearly set amount, so it won't go up. Revenue sharing, 50,000. We've got a new preliminary census, and we've got some additional residents it shows, so that'll help with revenue sharing. Mobile home license tax, $450. Alcoholic beverage license, $1,900. State sales tax, $160,000. That's slowly been climbing too. More people. Communication service tax, $55,000. Building permits, $100,000. fines, 1,500, we're hoping Radar Tim's gonna help bring that up. That comes from tickets and stuff.
Listen, y'all don't pick on him.
Oh, no, he's
He do a
doing
fine
his job.
Yeah. He was out there yesterday.
He sure is.
He's the man.
Notary service, we've got it, 650. Interest earnings, that's way up to 45,000, same scenario as the water. You can see it was 3,300 last year. All the rest of the interests are wrapped into one, so that's, rents and royalties, we've got it 60,000. Cemetery lot sales, 2,000. Other miscellaneous revenues, 10,000. Projecting us out at 1,924,000, less the 5%, 96,200. Brings us at revenues of 1,827,800.
Question. Keisha, on building permits, I know that we don't have a crystal ball to tell us what's gonna happen in the next 12 months, but I'm just wondering if the building permit issue is gonna keep up its pace for how long? And you got 100,000, that's a lot of money.
The thing about building permits is, building permits don't get meshed in with all the other expenses. So when you go down, if you'll scroll down to the building department,
It only affect the building.
and we have 30,000 that we haven't planned for, we've set aside, so, if we get it, we can definitely spend it in there, but it can only be used in the building department. We can't use to pay Courtney's salary, it can't be used to pay, anything but.
Car payments for other
Just building department, so you can bring it in, you take it right back out.
Good explanation. But I'm sure everybody's thought about it. That bubble's gonna bust one day, but we don't know when
We
it's
don't-
gonna
yeah.
be. So,
We can definitely take a look at it 6 months in as well,
see
if
where we're at, yeah.
we look like we're not bringing in what we thought we can. All right, commission expenses. Salaries, no change there, 16,250. FICA, 1,250. Retirement, 2,100. We brought all these up too, just like on the water side, just in case they keep going up every year. Life and health has went up as 40,000. That kind of fluctuates depending on who gets elected and, what coverage they have and so forth, so. Training, we left at 1,000, travel 1,500. We've got the new line item for communications for cell phones. And then liability, we've got up to 10,000. Bringing the, commission total expenditures to 73,800. Administrative salaries, we've got 96,000. This is including the dollar raises for everyone. FICA, 7,500. Retirement, 25,000. Life and health, 25,000. Counting and audit, we brought up a couple thousand, across the board, 33,000. Training, 3,000, and travel, 5,000. We brought that up just a little bit. It's really low this year. I didn't go to any training last year. I was too consumed with everything else. So I fully intend on catching back up, and Miranda's comes out of this too. Communications, 15,000. Postage, 500. Utilities, 25,000. as y'all are aware, the city, that is not just City Hall, that's all the museums and other buildings that the city owns. They all get wrapped in the administrative side. Copy machine lease, 35, workman's comp, 800, liability, 8,000, property insurance, 40,000. We don't want to keep repeating myself, but I'd go up. Maintenance and repair equipment, 2,000. Buildings, we brought down a little bit, 15,000. Advertising, 5,000. Code enforcement, 12. And that's including the 6 that we have to pay animal control. Other charges, 10,000. Clerical, put up to 1,000. We used that this year with the lawsuits and stuff. Codification, we brought up a little bit, 2,000. Office supplies, 3,000. Materials, 2,000. Elections, I'd put 1,000 there, but I've since brought that back out because we won't have an election this year. It's in November, so it'll be next year's
You're
budget.
absolutely right. I just thought about it.
So I took that out and then,
We put it in the police department. You had suggested to put it there for.
yes, we
some-
moved it to the police department.
Something they needed.
I believe it was training, wasn't it? Yeah. We
Or
just,
some.
yeah, it was training, cause he only had 500 and we moved it to 1,500, cause he wanted to do some extra.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Let's see. Books, publication, membership, 12,000, that's a big jump. We now have software that catches our Facebook, our website, so that nothing can be deleted off of our page. If somebody goes and makes a comment, then comes back and deletes it, and then requests a public record for it, it captures it instantly. And so it's for our protection with public records requests and laws these days, so, that's something we implemented last year, but we're just now paying
And that's
for
the
it.
city's Facebook. It also covers Brenda as the mayor, Sabrina has one as commissioner.
I haven't gotten an email or anything from them to set that up, that never happened in mine.
You never got one? Well, remind me and I'll forward. I thought you were covered under that.
I know y'all told me about it,
Uh-huh.
but
That should be the airport and any
Uh-huh.
of
City.
the affiliated with the city.
But once you
did you
get,
get an email?
yeah, once you get set up, then it will go back and capture
It'll go back
from
and
the
get everything.
beginning it takes some time, but it will go from the very beginning. that
And
you
then
set up your
it's
page.
really common, especially down in these bigger cities in South Florida, these people are going on the city's page and making comments and then going back and deleting them. And we can't control when somebody deletes it, and then somebody else requesting a public record because they have a screenshot of that comment, but now all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, we can go back to that day and that time and we can find it because it's capturing it. Same with the website, we're making changes on the website all the time, it's capturing it.
Oh, it's capturing the website as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So it should be the airport's Facebook, it should be the police department's, all of their website and their Facebook page.
More technology.
Social media.
Community celebrations, we left it at 20. He ended up giving us a little bit of discount last year because we had some shells or something that didn't go on.
Oh, yeah.
Legal counsel, 30,000, website, 2,000, uniforms, 500, planning, 5,000, consultant fee, 15,000. Got a little extra work here, past couple months. The nonprofits, 2,000, food pantry, 12,000, which They said they was gonna come, maybe they'll come to the hearing, they just wanted to present and thank you guys and ask that consider to keep them in there. Kemp Gordon Johnston, 1,500, Humane Society, 1,000, Library, 3,000, Senior Center, 2,500, and then the senior services line item, they are no longer in Carrabelle. I've been looking into it, and I guess they're based out of Appalachia. So I was gonna recommend that we take that 2,500 and move it to the Humane Society, because they are only getting 1,000, and that's really low compared to our other nonprofits. And then if they open back up, we could take it back and put it back in its line item, but they're not.
Aren't they, they're still providing meals to our seniors here in Carrabelle?
As far as I'm
Out of the Apalachicola, they're
right,
bringing.
funded by Liberty and
Yeah.
Calhoun County, so, and they haven't requested their money in the past 2 years.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, they're not even requesting it.
They say they're providing out of Apalachicola for the eastern end of the county, but I have no knowledge of how effective they're being with that. I don't know. I haven't heard.
If we agree with Keisha's recommendation to donate that to the Humane Society, like as a placeholder, so that we can keep that money budgeted, I would recommend that we notify the Humane Society that this isn't, this is temporary as far as we know. We'll do what we can
Right.
going forward, or, not for them to necessarily count on it.
Right.
Some tactful way.
So Keisha's idea is not bad. I'm not totally disagreement with it, but I have a thought about sharing that money with maybe sharing that money with the senior center here in Carrabelle and the Humane Society. And my thought about that is senior care is no longer in Carrabelle, but the senior citizen center is still here. And it just shows a little bit more consideration to the seniors here in town. But anyway, it's just a thought.
And I'll tell you, the 1,500 for Camp Gordon Johnston, that is for their parade that they put on. And then they get money from the TDC, just like all the other 7 museums in Franklin County. They get $2,000 per event to advertise for an event, and they get $15,000 as monies to subsidize their fundraising for operations.
Well, you could do 500 to the senior center and 2, that would give them each $3,000.
Yeah.
Just a thought, yeah. And that just shows a little bit more support to our seniors here in town.
And also, as Dustin reminded me, his approval, nodding, the city in kind mows it's a whole city block, right? Mows, weed eats, blows, that senior center property over there a couple of times a month, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. And that's-
Usually twice a month.
That's an in-kind service that's certainly of value.
Very much so.
I can vouch for it from my own personal experience. That is a value. I would think that it would cost them at least $200 a time to hire that done.
No doubt, 100%.
That's a lot of in-kind donation, it is. And I think going back before Dustin being there, I think when inmates were more plentiful than they are now, when Keith Walden was supervising, 6 or 8 inmates?
Me?
Yeah.
10.
Oh,
10.
Lord.
Exactly.
Mandatory.
And they could knock that, one crew could knock that out in just a little bit and be gone.
Yeah, when I was doing it, it was mandatory. take a 10.
And you all were doing an in-kind service at that time for the senior center, is that correct?
We done a lot of work out there.
Yeah. I think that's where that got started.
But
We actually stripped them floors, waxed them.
There was so much they could do, so much time.
But they don't have that kind of labor no more, so
yeah,
they have that luxury of 10 inmates.
but $3,000 each sounds fine, and let both of those agencies know, the Humane Society and the Senior Center, that it's not necessarily a permanent thing, but we had the funding this year and we wanted to go ahead and donate it.
All right,
So we'll
total,
put 3 under Humane Society.
and then 3 under senior center, and then deleted the senior services out.
Who owns that senior services building?
Franklin County.
It's pretty rough.
That's why they had to move, because they couldn't get it insured anymore in its current condition.
It's pretty rough. They're looking at.
More insurance issues.
It's gonna be up and down.
All right.
So that's 509,300, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do we have any comments on this proposed administrative budget at this time? Any comments? Okay, well, let's move forward, Ms. Keisha.
Okay, moving on to the police department. We left it at 255,000 with the, we had a chief and a deputy chief, and with the changes that took place, with what we have now, and Robbie's confident we're gonna keep what we have now, we left it at the 255,000. FICA 20,000, retirement 72,000, we added additional in there as well. Life and health 55,000, that's kind of with the changes as well, so. Training, that's where I put the 1,000 from elections, so he's at 1,500, he's, requested to send some additional training this year, so. Definitely a good thing. Communications, 8,500. They don't have a copy machine. Workman's comp, 8,000. Liability, 12. Automobile, 7. Maintenance repair equipment, 500. Vehicles, 4,000. Other charges, 500. Office supplies, 1,000. Materials, 1,500. Gasoline, 16,000. They don't have any memberships. The Axon body cameras, we've added that line item this year, at $6,000. It was getting dumped into other charges every year, so we've moved that out and put it in its own line item. And that's an annual. Capital projects is 15,000, which includes, vehicle payments. Website 500, and uniforms, we bumped it up a little bit to 5,000. Bringing it to 489,000 even.
Question on salary. You left it as it was. Robbie, did you take into consideration salary increases?
Yes,
You did.
yes, yeah, we've got,
You left it the same?
well, because of last year, we had other different officers making a lot more, now they're,
You have the chief salary, then assistant chief salary.
and then assistant,
and then
deputy chief.
officer. For now, it's just chief and officers. So their salaries. will
We
be
don't
lower.
have as many chiefs. We have more
And also
deputies.
in that salaries, it's including your holidays and your vacation and your overtime.
That
and
we
we
salary
get-
takes everybody up to.
Yeah, we also account for overtime, we do an allotment for overtime, and then we reflect that in our FICA as well.
And we have a chief at this time that he'll work to keep from having overtime. He'll help fill in, which,
That's what I was gonna make a point of, is he saved, just in the short period of time that Robbie's been the chief, he has saved a tremendous amount of money in overtime payments.
He's only
By
spent,
working.
$2,600 in overtime.
Exactly.
So,
That's a lot.
And we probably budgeted.
we budgeted 10,000 for overtime, so
Yeah.
he's, working hard to.
but I've told him myself, I wanna make sure he gets sleep because he's got an important job and we want him to be well rested.
Well,
As well rested as he can be.
that's my question, I just don't want him to sell himself short.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job, and I really very much appreciate it, but don't sell yourself short and get, pinched. You'll never know what the future's gonna bring.
So, you said 489,000?
489.
Okay, and do we have other comments regarding this, the police department budget that's been presented? And I know certainly they work together on it, just as they did with Charlie.
It looks great.
Okay. Anything?
The only other question I had about his budget, and he and I discussed it last week, was the new radio requirements that's gonna come up next year. I think Courtney and I have talked about that too, that we should be able to fund that other than general revenue,
We are going to try to get it funded this time.
because there's gonna be a lot of change in the radio communications coming up from what we understand and what he understands, for not only just for the police department, but for the fire department.
Triumph is already funded for the radio upgrades for Wakulla County, and I've been told also for the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, so we know that they're eligible.
That's correct.
And so we're gonna work, we've already been working with Motorola to get some estimates so we can have some prices. Apalachicola is also probably gonna be asking, because they're not funded under the Franklin County either. And, maybe even the fire departments through Franklin County, that if we all go in united, not apply together for the same grants, but all go in united together and apply, and we have a better chance.
And then we're gonna be working on trying to get SCADA alarm systems as well for the water and sewer, lift stations and towers, generators and that kind of thing.
It's good, but it's gonna be a pretty substantial cost on changing communications.
Right, but compared to the money they gave Wakulla, it's
It's
a
a drop
drop.
in the hat.
Yeah,
It's not
nothing.
Well, it's not a drop in the hat to us
That's,
here.
that's
We
true.
have to pay it.
It's gonna be substantial, and the sheriff, I know in Franklin County, has been awarded 1.5 million for his upgrades. So,
Right.
anyway,
Which is way higher than what we need.
here again, that's fine, but we may not need $1.5 million, but it's gonna be costly.
It will be, even if it's, $5,000. It's
So
large.
we're confident.
Gonna be more than that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now that the precedent has been set, we're not confident that we should go forward.
All right, our fire department.
Fire department, $6,000. Looks like we haven't paid them, but, we have the agreement with Franklin County now where they're covering our costs to Lanark. We didn't want to take that out because even if they do have their own fire department, our fire department's still gonna respond, so we'll still be paying them as well. Communications, 3,500, utilities, 4,000, workman's comp, 2,500, liability, 6,500, property, 4,000, automobile insurance, 5,000, maintenance and repair vehicles, 2,000, maintenance and repair buildings, 3,500, supplies and materials, 1,900, gasoline, 2,000, and our first responder, 1,500. Bringing it to 42,400.
All right, do we have comments or questions regarding this budget for the fire department?
Not really on the budget, but just for those that, on this board that may not know, and of course, probably all of you do know, in talking with the chief, he's got some very old fire trucks, or the department has some very old fire trucks down there. And one of them right now is in dire need of repair, and they're working toward trying to get parts to repair it. And working toward that is because the truck's so old, they can't hardly find the parts. It's really a good truck, it just needs a few parts. The point I'm just trying to plant a seed is if he has to start replacing fire trucks, which are getting very old, that's pretty expensive stuff to replace fire trucks. Might want to start thinking about that. I think the last one Courtney City bought was on a grant, was it not? The ladder truck?
We made payments on that one.
Did you
We
really?
made like
We got a
$10,000
legislative appropriation on one.
on one prior, but we made payments on the last one.
Okay.
And then we were able to, we got had money contingent and we paid it off, and it really saved a lot of interest.
That's correct, yes.
Paid it off a couple of years early or something like that. It was like 150,000 or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And interest now is probably triple what it was.
Probably 8%.
It's
And my,
insane.
and my statement there is just try to plant the seed, it's coming.
Yeah.
And we can ask Trump if they'll fund, I don't know if they will or not, but we can ask. They seem to be funding emergency top, like the radios and the SCADA system. So they may, but they may not.
Well, knowing how long these grants can take, should we start asking for that now,
We're gonna start pushing.
our first year? Okay.
That was all, Mayor, thank you.
All righty.
And it's not, it's a Trump money, so it's not a typical grant like we would apply for CDBG or FERDAP through the state, because the money's already been allocated, and they have the money sitting there. but
So
they
it
have
doesn't
to-
take years?
No.
No, they just have to agree with what our proposal is.
And usually it has to create jobs, and they've had a hard time finding projects that create jobs, so now they're kind of loosening up on some of their funds.
For, in Gulf and Franklin and Wacalla, because the major industry is tourism, and the statute says that you can't fund tourism. So no jobs, no tourism jobs, say if they wanted to build a big hotel somewhere and get that funded or subsidized, that's for tourism, and they don't do that. That was the statute that was developed for that Triumph funding, so. All righty, so your streets and roads?
Streets and roads, we got salaries at $115,000. Janitorial, that's our weekend, bathrooms, holidays, $8,000. FICA, $8,800. Retirement, $16,000. Life and health, $35,000. Communications, $2,000. Utilities, $55,000. Workman's comp, $15,000. We got a big workman's comp case going on streets and roads, so theirs is probably gonna jump the highest. Liability, $7,000. Property, $10,000. Automobile insurance, $5,000. Maintenance and repair equipment, $11,000. Maintenance repair vehicles, $4,000. Buildings, $1,500. Signage, $3,000. Equipment purchase and capital projects, we've got $37,000, and that's including a street sweeper. Other charges, tree trimming, we got $20,000. That tree trimming got added into the other charges, but it's kind of taken over as tree trimming line item, so. And a lot of it we have to hire out professionally just because they're in alleys or close to houses and stuff like that. Materials and supplies, $15,000. Gasoline, $12,500. diesel 1,000, safety 500, uniforms 3,200, and stormwater / park maintenance 10,000.
Okay, on the uniforms, okay, so that comes to 395,500?
Yes.
Okay, 395,500. I see the year-to-date on the uniforms is up to 4,200, but it's budgeted.
That was supposed to be
Well, that's the
4,200.
projected, I think what we had spent in the
Excuse me,
9 months
projected.
was the 3173, and I don't think he was
We
gonna
had
spend any
changed,
more.
every time we get a new employee, we have to outfit them.
Mhm.
And then, the maintenance of it's
Yeah,
pretty standard, but if you have to get them new boots, all new uniforms, that's just,
we changed.
So you're not gonna spend another $1,000 on outfits in the next couple months?
we hope not.
Yeah.
I'm like Robbie,
For a long
we
time.
got a good crew, we're
I'm
hoping to keep them.
hoping, that's right.
Same
Okay.
with,
Hold what we got.
All right, and so a street sweeper for capital projects, would it take that, have you looked into the cost, or do you have anything else planned?
Not as of right now, nothing major.
Okay.
That street sweeper's gonna be used in the CRA a lot, so I was just, I know that's been approved, but it's gonna be used a lot. It's around 9,000.
I see already.
And you gonna get a gas or,
No, it's gonna
Battery?
be on the front of that, Kubota tractor.
oh,
It's gonna
okay,
be
all right,
hydraulic.
an attachment.
We've already got the third function and all, we just
Uh-huh,
mounted on.
wonderful.
No, a
Will
lot of
it
people
take that, yeah, will it take that whole 3,700? Or
Thousand.
do you have any,
Well,
you don't know?
Vehicle payments in-
yeah, he's
Yeah,
got vehicle
okay.
payments
Vehicle,
included in
yeah.
that.
Okay, all right.
I believe he's got two in that one, two
Okay.
vehicles in there.
Okay. All right, do y'all have, do the commissioners have comments, questions regarding the streets and roads salary? Excuse me. Budget.
We can talk about
Salaries,
it.
number one line
And I
item.
can say that he's also, done very good on his overtime. He doesn't have any overtime
Oh, wonderful.
Good.
here, so Dustin,
I don't know how
if we
much-
need something done on the weekend, he comes out and takes care of it.
Yeah, because they have to let the flags up and down, sometimes get them down because of bad weather, whatever, the half-mast and.
And the restroom lady's really been doing her job, that helps.
Wonderful,
That helps a big.
glad to hear that.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, during this hurricane preparation, the last week, I watched the whole city staff for 3 days. I was extremely impressed with everybody.
So,
I mean, everybody was just wide open, making sure that the city was protected. That was preparation and after, so I think everybody did an excellent job.
I think we learned from Hurricane Michael.
Yeah.
We learn every year.
Yeah, we did.
Dustin just cannot do anything with beavers.
No. I can't win that battle. I'm trying. No, I'm still trying. I can kill them, but they keep coming back. It's hard. That's a whole other deal there.
Is there something that eats beavers?
I wish that big bear, I seen a big bear by your house, Commissioner Miller, this morning at about 7:15.
He's been there for a few weeks.
Those beavers are probably too big for the bears.
I got some pictures that would definitely surprise you. We got one that was almost 50 pounds.
That's crazy.
They eat good and earn
It comes right from your ditch. It was eating good.
What are you feeding them?
trees.
Oh, beavers, I thought you were to the bears. Beavers, yeah. All right, so what do we think about, we want to review the building department now.
All right, salaries, we've got
Thank you.
53,600. That is half of my salary and then Gary's contract. We've also added $100 a month for Gary, so $1,200 a year. Just for kind of the dollar raise that everybody else got, the cost increase there. we certainly don't wanna lose him, and a lot of counties have started picking him up, cities, so we, just couldn't imagine. FICA, 2,000, he doesn't have FICA, so this is my 4,000 for retirement. Life and health, 4,300, communications, 100. Other charges, we've got at 500. Office supplies, 1,000. Software, we've got at 5,000, that's our, building department software. And then we've got to be determined / legal, 29,500, and that's the 30 we was talking about. We added the / legal in there too because of the lawsuits and stuff that concern building. But I said $100,000, which is, well, okay.
And under the salaries, so that includes the salaries and the FICA and the retirement, life and health. You, Ms. Keisha, but you're splitting that out 50/50?
Right, with
Okay.
admin.
Okay, and then on the salaries, then I'll just say then you added in, or you're accounting for $27,600 for the building inspector
Yes.
at $2,300 a month. But the building inspector doesn't get the fringe benefits there.
Right,
So
no.
those are just your 50%. Okay. And then on the legal, who knows, we may have more lawsuits coming. It's just, I would count on it rather than not count on it.
Right.
Because of the
And that's
one
why
building we
last
have.
year it just to be determined, but
Mhm.
we threw legal in there because it's inevitable.
Mhm. All right then, so do y'all have questions regarding the building department? Proposed budget? And that comes to how much the total, Ms. Keisha?
100,000.
No, but
I'm sorry.
total expenditures.
Total expenditures, 1,610,000.
Mm-hmm.
We've got our CRA payment of 196,000, which brings us to 1,806,000, with a surplus of 21,800. Now we can reserve that for contingency or balance forward, or if y'all had some other ideas, it's always nice to have a small cushion throughout the year, so.
That's what I'd rather have. Yep.
Now, I always, or have been the past handful of years, calculating all of this with different millage rates, and Keisha knows, and I went over it with her. So if we, you know, at this 7.25, because our property values went up, that is that, even though it's our same millage rate we're using this year, that is the taxable amount, their tax payment, and my tax payment, and everybody's, will go up, your taxes will go up, even though it's the same millage rate. And the rollback rate, which last year we used the rollback rate.
We went lower than the rollback rate last year.
Oh, we did, 7.25 was lower than the suggested rollback rate. And this year, the rollback rate that's recommended or told to the city by the state is 6.74.
Right.
And Keisha said, I mean, if you calculate the 6.74 by the taxable value, your revenues supposedly would be $1,170,746, but Keisha recommended, because you don't always get everything, all the taxes, because some folks just don't pay. Keisha recommended 1,000, it would be $1,050,000. And if you went on the rollback rate, you're gonna not have a surplus, but you're gonna be short $43,700. You know, but if you wanted to use the rollback rate, you'd have to go back through there, and they left, and find $43,700. In that way, with the increased property taxes, people's tax bill, the actual money they write a check for, would not go up. If you used a 7 millage rate, which is in between 7.25 and 6.74, you're gonna have a shortage, I think I just saw it. No, you'll have $3,800 surplus. And then I did look at even a lower millage rate, lower than the rollback, like we did this fiscal year, at 6.5, and that would give you, you'd have a $98,000 shortage, a $91,000 shortage. So just giving you the options, letting you know what can be done, you know, if you wanted to, you know, lower the rate that's recommended or go back to the rollback rate if you don't want to raise taxes. I mean, even though we're using the same, and it will be written in the newspaper that way, he will let you know, even though we're using the same millage rate, the taxable rate will go up. So just to make sure, you know, that we're all informed on what's going on. Any questions, comments?
And as I explained to the mayor and Commissioner Millinger, we've been slowly going down, and it's wonderful that we're able to go down. But I can tell you that 10 or 15 years ago, we went down to a 4, and then the following year had to go up to an 8, and that was a nightmare. So I don't want to keep going down too fast, too soon. You know, we definitely want to go down, but we just can't predict the future, and we want to see what we have, because if we go down too fast, then we have to go back up as well. So, and the amount that I budgeted for it last year, $1,092,000, that was over 100,000 less than what the taxes were supposed to bring in, and we did not even bring that in. So luckily for franchise fees and utility and state sales tax covered that difference. So I just don't want to get into a spot where we go back too far and have to go back uphill. Going down's fun, but going up's not.
Yeah. I think we've had so many increases in taxes and the interest and all that, I think it's a good idea to stay the same this year.
And with us having to raise our employees, you know, because it's to a livable wage, it's
Everything's gone up.
and I believe this will put, what, at minimum wage this year's 13,000, so we have $2 more, or $13, so we have two more years.
And to keep that up with the water and sewer department, is most likely, but the rate study will, you know, determine, but it's most likely going to require rate hikes on the water and sewer side to be able to keep up that $1 an hour raise.
So the 21,800, I was proposing to reserve it for contingency. We do have contingency fund in the in the general fund, just the same as the water and sewer.
And who knows, we may need it for paving, we may need it for the cemetery, or we may need it for something else on Gray Avenue, we don't know yet.
Well, I'd love to see us continue to drop the millage rate, but at this point, from all the signs that has been mentioned, talked about, what has been said, I'm satisfied to leave it with the 7.25.
Okay, and myself, I would like for it to go back to the rollback rate,
Yeah.
because I like to pay as least taxes as I can.
Well, I do too,
But,
and I would like for
I
the
know-
people to pay it.
Yeah, and I know I represent the people, and they all want to pay as little as they can, but, you know, we're just, I'll go with whatever the commission decides, you know, that they think is best. So, if we want, you know, we can agree tentatively to stay at the 7.25, and the proposed budget is good. I think the budget is good.
I was just gonna say about tentative, maybe we'll have a good number on some of them insurance.
Liability,
And
yeah.
maybe they're not gonna go up as much as we thought.
So we could have more of a contingency or less of a contingency based on
Yeah.
that
Decide
number.
to slow down a little.
Or maybe look at a 7 millage rate
Right.
even. All right, anything else? Any more questions, or? Okay, well, it's a good budget, we appreciate you putting that together, and
Thank you, good job.
we'll see y'all for the budget discussions then again on the 14th, and then our city commission meeting shortly on Thursday. All right then, where's this gavel?
Well, that was easy.
All right, this workshop is adjourned.